Danny Segura in Miami, Florida. I'm standing next to Ali Abdelaziz, head of Dominance MMA. We're here just a day and a half away from the Eagle FC 44 event, the U.S. debut for Eagle FC. First of all, Ali, how excited are you to bring to have Eagle FC in the U.S. and sort of help Habib bring the promotion stateside? Because 44 events, but first in the U.S.
First, I'm really excited, man. My brother Rizwan Habib has started Eagle FC, and like I said, I'm always gonna help them. From the outside looking in, they running a promotion, and I'm just bringing some great fighters in and using some of my contact to bring some good fighters for Eagle FC. And as you see the fight card from top to bottom. Have great fights, great names like Tyrone Spong, Sergey Haratano, Rashad Evans, Ray Borg. And it's going to be a great night for Eagle FC debut.
What do you think the American fans have been missing out of with the fans that haven't watched Eagle FC and will be watching on Friday?
Listen, a lot of these people think it's only going to be just a lot of Russian fighters, but this has become an international event. Rizwan and Khabib really put their heart and soul into this for the last year and tried to they built it a whole arena. They have their whole arena, whole production team. And I think this is not about just Russian fighters anymore. This is about European fighters, African fighters, American fighters, Mexican fighters, South American fighters. And I think it's going to be a mixture of everything. And what they're going to see, great matchups. If you know anything about matchups, Eagle FC, it's going to be on a Friday night. It's going to be a lot of great matchups. You guys going to tune in to watch.
What do you think this promotion, what do you think the impact will be in the American market, competing with the UFC, Bellator, PFL, and other promotions? Because, as you said, their US debut, and right off the bat, they got pretty big names.
I don't think Eagle FC competes with everyone. And I always say that when a promoter tries to compete with other promoter, you're wasting your time. Just compete with your own self. Try to make your brand better. And Khabib has always wanted to do perfectly. Everything perfectly. And bring Rizwan on. Great experience from the management game. Now become a promoter. And I think with these two brains and me helping bringing some talent into the promotion, other managers too. This is not just me. Other managers. They working with, they bring in fighters from all over the world, and I think it's a combined effort between knowledge, talent, and great people, and that will give you a great success.
When Habib told you that, hey, look, I want to get into the fight promoting business, how was that like? And how passionate is he as a promoter? Because this is big for MMA, and not only that, but bringing all these Russian fighters and sort of highlighting fighters from the region as well.
I don't think Habib's brand to just bring Russian fighters. And I think this is a misconception by a lot of people. It's going to be a whole bunch of Russian fighters coming here to smash everybody. No, this is an international promotion. And I think Habib is a really passionate human being. He's a great person. He's a guy. He look up to values and honesty and integrity, and I think that's what Eagle FC is going to happen. There's a lot of integrity, a lot of people are going to be treated well, and I think putting on great fights. And I think honestly, the way they put on this great the first card, as a fan, I'm gonna be sitting. Watching the fight as a fan, and I'm gonna really enjoy it. I'm gonna really enjoy it because it's no way as hell this fight is gonna be some boring fights. It's gonna be some firework. For God's sake, Tyrone Spong, Kirite Horatano. Do you ever think this fight is gonna be a boring fight? I think it's gonna be an amazing fight.
Yeah, certainly. And let me ask you this: the addition of 165, that's something very interesting that Eagle FC is bringing to the MMA. Really, a weight class that we don't see in other promotions. As a manager, as somebody that has managed fighters across many different weight classes, how important is it the addition to 165? Do you feel like it's going to be able to allow certain fighters that are kind of in betweeners, fulfill their potential?
I think a lot of guys who struggle to make 170 and 155, this is great news for them because now it's 5 pounds is a big difference. It's going to affect your health, preparations, your mood, and the way you're going to fight and your recovery, right? It's this extra 5 pounds. you don't really have to cut anymore. Kevin Lee, an example, who's a guy who's stuck between 170. He's too small for 170. He's too big for 185. Now we fight on 65. When they reached out to him and signed him, this is one of the main reasons he signed. He was at 165 pounds.
Certainly. Looking forward to the 165 debut. And I want to ask you this. Dana White recently said Leon Edwards 100% next for the title against champion Kamaru Usman. Can you give us an update on when we can expect the champ back and who's up next? Is it Leon Edwards?
It doesn't matter who's next. You know, the champion, Kamaru's the pound for pound, the greatest fighter on the planet today. You know, he's pound for pound in the conversation, the greatest fighter ever. Definitely the greatest welterweight ever. It doesn't matter who's next. You know, they say Leon is the next victim. Be it. You know, he deserved it. He earned it. He lost his spot many times, but Leon Edwards, a great opponent, a worthy opponent, and he's next. He's next. He's the next victim for sure. Yeah.
He was a busy champion. I believe might have been the busiest 3 title defenses in 2021. Can we expect a similar rhythm? What do you kind of sense of Kamaru Usman as far as his desire for activity?
Kamaru Usman, long as he's healthy, he likes 3 things. He likes money, and he likes competition, and he likes to whip people's ass. That's what he likes to do. And 2022 is going to be the same year. You know, you just got to give him a little break to enjoy himself, enjoy his daughter, enjoy his family. And 2022, going to get back to it, maybe June, July, and he will be fighting. Yeah.
And just want to follow up on one thing. You think Kamaru is the greatest welterweight. Some people might, throw out the name of GSP. Also won a belt in a different weight class. What would you have to say to the argument, to the people that go, hey, no, GSP is the number one?
Listen, I like GSP. Is a great fighter, great human being, a friend of mine, great champion. But look at the strength of the schedule. Look the competition Kamaru has beaten. You know, George never beaten a guy like that. George never been busy like that. George never. Kamaru's knocking people out left and right. You know, George, he doesn't have this many finishes Kamaru does, right? And he did not fight the people as Kamaru, the level of competition Kamaru have fought. And there's no knock on George. And MMA back then is different now. Guys a lot more stronger, faster, more technically sound. It's a different era.
Certainly a different era. George St. Pierre, new Miami resident. I don't know if you knew that.
He moved to Miami?
Yeah.
That's good. I didn't know that. I don't know. I might go ahead and hit him up today. I ask him to come to the fight then.
Yeah, he's been posting on his Instagram, and he's somewhere in, like, I think a penthouse somewhere in, I don't know exactly where, if it's Brickell, but certainly in Miami. You should reach out and see if he comes out to Eagle FC.
For sure. I'm gonna reach out to him today and see him if you want to come to watch the fight.
Another fighter I wanted to ask you about is Henry Cejudo. We saw recently Max Holloway pulled out from the fight against Alexander Volkanovski, and then everybody was kind of racing their hands, to try to get that title shot. One of the names was Henry Cejudo. A lot of people were backing him, wanting to see Triple C become C4. What can we expect from him? Is he sort of dead set on a featherweight title shot, or can we expect a return maybe at 135 or just featherweight, but maybe non-title fight? What can we expect from Cejudo?
Listen, I spoke to him. Henry needs a couple of things to be in order for him to come fight back, right? He's the greatest comeback athlete of all the time. I don't think anybody can accomplish what he does. If Kayla Harrison one day go to the UFC and become a UFC champion, maybe, because she's a 2-time Olympic champion. But right now, Henry is the greatest comeback of all the time. He knew what he's worth, right? But at the end of the day, this is a business transaction. Sometimes you go to the grocery stores, you said, listen, I'm going to sell you the pawn shop, right? I'm going to sell you all my stuff for this much money. And they say they're not worth it, right? You move on and you hold your stuff, or you go to somebody else, right? In this situation, UFC is the promoter, right? I received a message yesterday from the UFC. Next week we should sit down and talk about it and see how we can, all of us, make Henry happy. Because for Henry to come back, he has to be happy. And he deserves to be happy. And if I can do my job and make him happy, I'm going to do everything I can. If I can't, Henry's just not going to come out of retirement. He's going to do what he's been doing.
Yeah. What do you think needs to be in place for Henry to be happy?
I think, listen, at the end of the day, I think it's Henry gets respect. Like, if anybody said Dana White or the UFC don't respect Henry, they're full of shit. It's business. Like, I don't talk about money or business publicly. This is not the way I do business. But I think it's have something to do with the way how we're gonna structure a deal for Henry to come back, right? Maybe they're gonna tell me I'm over my head, I'm out of my mind, or they're gonna tell me we're gonna do something. Next week I'll know.
What does your gut tell you? Henry Cejudo fights in 2022?
I don't know. It's 50-50 right now. Because Henry is not gonna settle for what he think he's worth, right? And the UFC, they have a business. They have to follow the guideline, and and our job is to listen. Let's be real. If the UFC gave me $1 million, I say I want $2 million. If they give me $2 million, I want $4 million, right? We fighters always want more money, and some fighters deserve it, 100%, and some I can't speak for them, but Henry definitely deserves it.
One of the biggest things that has been in the news in the last few days, obviously, for instance, Ngannou defending his title, but also the fact that he fought out his contract as a champion, and he's been going back and forth on the media, and it seems his relationship with the UFC is not going very well between also his management, and his future seems very uncertain. As a manager in the space, what do you make of this whole, I guess, dilemma that they have, this back and forth between Ngannou and UFC?
It's crazy. Last week, I got caught up in this whole thing somehow. I don't know how I got caught up. And listen, I love Francis. He's a friend of mine. He's a great guy. And if anybody deserves to be paid, it's Francis. Like, you look at the stories. The guy come from Cameroon, went to Morocco, got on a boat, in a plastic boat to Europe, and the man have a strong will. He have a strong will. But, Dana White been waiting 20 years for someone like Francis to arrive, to be on the scene, to become the baddest heavyweight on the planet. This whole narrative, Dana White don't like Francis or hey Francis, I think is wrong, because it's almost impossible not to like Francis. The guy, he put on great shows. He's a great human being, and I think it's a lot of ego involved. A lot of people involved. They're not supposed to be involved. Listen, Francis have a great team around him. We have Eric Nixick, his coaches, his whole entire team. They're a great team. And I think right now, this whole thing is about Francis. Will you put Francis first? And I think Francis said, I want to put myself first. But when you in these kind of situations, a lot of egos involved. I think this thing could be solved. I think all they need to do, Dana, take Francis out to dinner, and they sit down and talk. And I'm very confident that we'll get a deal done. Francis said it's not about the money, it's about freedom. Maybe. Francis wants the box, right? That's his dream. I think Dana White can make his dream become true because he's the baddest promoter on this planet. If you want to promote a fight against Tyson Fury, he's an ESPN guy, Dana's an ESPN guy. You bring both of them and make this fight happen, right? But I think it needs to be kill all the noise, stop talking to the media, stop tweeting stuff, stop putting stuff on Instagram. Both sides. I'm not saying, I want to be involved last week to help France. I don't want to help the UFC. The UFC got everything they want. They have money, they have promotions. But I felt bad for Francis. But Francis, he don't feel bad for himself. He felt like he won. But I think Francis can win so much more, right? Can you imagine Dana White promoting Francis to fight Tyson Fury next? Forget about John Jones. That's what I'll do that. I'll be like, let's make this fight. That'll be the first fight on a no deal, right? And I think it can happen. But I think a lot of ego involved. A lot of people felt they got disrespected. A lot of people felt they got lied to. Both sides. I'm not saying the UFC side, Francis side. But let's remember, this is not about anyone else but Francis. Francis probably left in the last two fights $12 million on the table, right? This is a courageous man. This is a courageous man. How you're not going to respect this man? And this man come from nothing. Did I think it was the smartest thing to do? Absolutely not. I don't think you should leave this kind of money on the table. But his main thing, he wanted to box. I think Dana White will let him box. But it have to be, I'm going to be a team player here. We're going to work together. not like I'm gonna screw you over. And I think both parties they think they feel that the other party they want to screw each other over, and I think it was a little bit. It's not as ugly as people think, right? And I think people have to stop talking to the media, sit, go to dinners, and get it handled. That's what I think.
Certainly, we'll see what happens. Interesting situations. Now, two more fighters I want to ask you about. One, we've seen a lot of movement in the welterweight division. We just saw that Luque got booked against Bilal Muhammad, and a lot of people are wondering, and even Gilbert Burns has been throwing things out there. Is he fighting Khamzat next? What's going on with Burns?
Listen, it doesn't matter who's Gilbert gonna fight next. Gilbert, this is what he built for. He liked to fight. It can be anybody. Gilbert's gonna put his hand up. Listen, at the end of the day, if it's Khamzat, Gilbert gonna fight Khamzat. You know, great fight. I think it's a great fight. One of the best. This is a meaningful fight. You got the Masvidal and Kobe. I don't think it's a meaningful fight. I think Khamzat and Gilbert is a meaningful fight. Whoever win can fight for title. You got the other two guys. They 0-2 against the champion, right? They 0-5 in the last 5 fights, and I think it's a meaningful fight for the division. Gilbert is a very good test. Gilbert was very close to become a champion. You know, he's the only guy ever come close to like wobble Kamaru or punch him, right? And he did. And Kamaru, of course, come back and show what kind of great champion he is and beat him, right? But I think if this fight happened, Gilbert is in. And I know Khamzat probably is in too. Now it's up to the UFC. They have to pull the trigger and make this fight happen. But both guys are in.
So, has it been discussed at all?
Listen, like I said, like this is up to the UFC to announce fight. I don't announce fight; it's up to them. But you know, if I'm gonna bet in man, and I say this fight will happen. But you know, I think the UFC work on a couple things they need to work on. Everything on Gilbert's side are sealed and done. Comes outside, I don't know. UFC maybe work on some things with him, and I'm sure they will get it done.
Certainly, that'd be an amazing fight. Hopefully, it happens. A huge test for Khamzat, and obviously, you know, he's become such a big star. It'd be just a huge fight for the division. I'm going to add one more thing to the list, and thank you so much for your time. Kayla Harrison, what's up with her? You know, last time I saw her, you know, she had just won the tournament, $1 million. A lot of talk was between, you know, Bellator, UFC, her future. We're now a few months past the season, creeping up to the 2022 PFL season. What's her status?
Listen, let's make this clear today. Kayla Harrison is the pound for pound, the greatest female fighter we've ever seen. It's not Ronda. We see what happened to Amanda. It's not Juliana Pena. It's Kayla Harrison. This girl, she born to collect gold. It's not woman on the planet, and some of the men too, have not been born to beat Kayla Harrison. Right now, PFL is the front runner. I see a report she signed with PFL. That's not correct. Yeah, she's still a free agent, but at the end of the day, you know, listen, PFL being great to her, they've been great to all of us. They're on ESPN. Congratulations for them to be on ESPN, the baddest network on the planet. And it's a couple things that need to happen, and it is in the process. And I think, you know, PFL looking really good right now. Yeah.
So we're looking forward to whatever news comes next for Kayla Harrison. Certainly one of the most interesting figures today in mixed martial arts. Lastly, can we get an update on Zabit Magomedsharipov? We haven't heard about him in a while. We know that he had some health scares, right? What's the latest on him? And first of all, is he healthy? And if so, when can we expect a return from him?
Listen, Zabit he's training. He's in USADA program. But, you know, listen, he went through some health problem. He's back training. And I think this is a conversation me and the UFC will have probably next week about Zabit to see what's the future hold for him. And we're going to see what happens. But I believe he's one of the baddest men in this division. You know, I believe he can be the champion tomorrow. You know, Alexander was a great champion, but I think Zabit's on a different level. I do.
So he's healthy and he does plan to compete.
Yeah, like listen, you know, this conversation, like I said, I need to have with Mr. Sean Shelby next week, and we're gonna figure out what Zabit wanna do. Also, it's not just a UFC problem. Zabit have to be like, hey, I'm ready to fight this month on this date for this much money, and now I'll talk to Sean, and we're gonna figure things out.
Awesome. All right, just to end on this, obviously Eagle FC 44 this Friday in Miami. Tell the fans, what are they in for at Eagle FC 44 this Friday?
Eagle FC in Miami, flex.com. You can download the app, you can watch on live. Tune in, pure violence, pure entertainment, pure class. Only here on Eagle FC, only on flex.com. The Eagle himself has landed in Miami. Let's go.
I appreciate the time, Ali.